There comes a moment in your life when you finally stop pretending that everything is okay, when you stop smiling just to survive, when you quietly admit to yourself, some people are not good to me. Not everyone who stands next to you is meant to walk with you. Not every voice that speaks to you is meant to guide you. Some voices break you slowly, gently, until one day you wake up and realize you have been shrinking just to keep others comfortable. You tried to be kind, you tried to understand, you tried to stay, but being good to people should never require you to be cruel to yourself. This is not a speech about anger. This is not a speech about blame. This is about clarity. This is about choosing peace over approval. This is about learning that your worth does not decrease just because someone fails to see it. If you have ever felt invisible in a room full of people, if you have ever questioned your value because of how someone treated you, if you have ever stayed too long where you were not respected, then this message is for you. Because the moment you realize some people are not good to you is the moment you finally begin to be good to yourself. Some people are not good to me. Not because they are evil, not because they wake up every morning deciding to hurt me, but because their presence slowly takes something away from me that I don't notice at first. It begins in small ways, in the pause before I speak, in the way I second guess my own thoughts, in the way my laughter becomes quieter when they are around. Nothing dramatic, nothing loud, just a quiet erosion of who I am. And I stay because I tell myself that this is normal, that this is how relationships work, that everyone hurts each other sometimes, that love and loyalty require endurance. But endurance without respect is not strength. It is surrender, and I don't see that until I am already tired in a way that sleep cannot fix. I start changing without realizing it. I choose my words carefully, editing myself in my own mind before they ever reach my mouth. I become alert, constantly reading faces, tones, silences, trying to predict reactions so I can avoid conflict. I stop bringing my full self into the room because my full self feels like too much, too loud, too sensitive, too inconvenient. I learn to make myself smaller so that others can feel bigger. I learn to apologize even when I don't understand what I did wrong. I learn to accept coldness and call it honesty, distance and call it independence, disrespect and call it humor. And slowly, I forget what it felt like to be at ease around someone. There is a special kind of pain that comes from being misunderstood by people you tried so hard to understand. You listen to them, you make excuses for them, you carry their bad days as if they were your responsibility. You tell yourself they are just stressed, just tired, just hurting. You believe that if you stay long enough, if you are patient enough, if you are kind enough, they will eventually see you. But some people don't see you, they see what you give them. They see the parts of you that serve them, and they ignore the parts of you that need care. You begin to doubt your own reality. You replay conversations in your head, wondering if you imagined the tension, if you misread the tone, if you are too sensitive. You start asking for reassurance in quiet ways, but you don't always receive it. Instead, you receive silence or jokes or deflection, and you accept it because accepting it feels easier than admitting that someone you care about is not good for you. Admitting that feels like failure. It feels like giving up. It feels like admitting that you chose wrong. So you stay even when staying costs you more than leaving ever could. You convince yourself that love is supposed to hurt. Sometimes that closeness means compromise, that conflict is normal, and all of that is true, but only when it is balanced with safety, respect, and care. When pain becomes the main language, when anxiety becomes the default state, when you start losing yourself just to keep someone else, that is not love, that is survival. And survival mode slowly drains you. It makes your world smaller. It makes your dreams quieter. It makes your heart tired. You remember who you used to be. There was a time when you laughed freely, when you spoke without fear, when you didn't feel like you had to prove your worth to anyone. There was a time when you trusted your own voice, when you believed your feelings mattered. Now you hesitate. Now you question yourself. Now you wonder if you are too much or not enough. And you don't notice that this shift happened not because you changed, but because you stayed where you were shrinking. Some people make you feel like you are always one mistake away from being abandoned. Like your value is conditional, like you have to perform correctly to deserve kindness. They keep you guessing, always reaching, always trying. And you call this connection, but it is actually imbalance. Real connection does not make you afraid of being yourself. Real connection does not make you feel small. Real connection does not require you to disappear. There is a quiet moment when the truth starts to settle. It doesn't arrive as anger. It arrives as exhaustion. You feel tired of explaining, tired of hoping, tired of pretending that you are okay when you are not. You feel tired of carrying the weight of a relationship that only moves in one direction. And in that tiredness, there is clarity. You begin to see that this is not who you are, this is who you have become around them. You realize that their behavior is not a reflection of your worth. It is a reflection of their limitations. It is not your job to teach someone how to treat you. It is not your responsibility to set ranks so that others can feel comfortable. You are not created to live in constant doubt about your value. You are not meant to earn basic respect through silence and sacrifice. And so you begin to listen to yourself again, to the discomfort, to the sadness, to the part of you that feels unseen. You stop arguing with your own feelings. You stop telling yourself that you are wrong for wanting more. You start honoring the truth that has been waiting patiently inside you, the truth that says some people are not good to you, not because you are unlovable, but because they are unable to love you in the way you deserve. You don't need to hate them. You don't need to fight them. You don't need to prove anything. You only need to recognize what their presence has been doing to you. You only need to notice how you feel when you are with them and how you feel when you are away. Your body already knows what your mind is afraid to accept. Letting go does not mean you failed. It means you chose to stop failing yourself. It means you decided that your peace is worth protecting. It means you finally believe that you deserve relationships that feel like rest, not like work. Relationships that feel like warmth, not like tension. Relationships where you are not afraid to be real. You are not too much. You are not too sensitive. You are not difficult to love. You have simply been trying to grow in places that cannot hold you. And when you finally step away from what is breaking you, you make room for what will build you. Choosing yourself without guilt or apology is one of the hardest things you will ever do. Not because it is wrong, but because you were taught that your needs come last. You were taught to be understanding, to be patient, to be forgiving, to stay even when you are hurting, to keep the peace even when you are breaking inside. Somewhere along the way, you learned that loving others meant ignoring yourself. And now when you finally think about choosing your own well-being, a quiet voice inside you whispers that you are selfish, that you are cruel, that you are ungrateful. That voice is not the truth. It is the echo of all the times you were asked to carry what was never meant to be yours. Guilt becomes a shadow that follows you whenever you consider doing what is right for you. You feel it when you say no. You feel it when you set boundaries. You feel it when you stop answering messages that drain you. You feel it when you imagine walking away from people who cannot meet you with the same care you give them. The guilt feels heavy, but it is not a sign that you are wrong. It is a sign that you are changing. It is a sign that you are learning to honor yourself in a world that benefits from your silence. You have spent so much time trying to be everything for everyone else that you forgot what it feels like to be there for yourself. You show up, you listen, you support, you sacrifice. You put your heart into people who do not know how to hold it. And when you finally pause and ask yourself what you need, it feels unfamiliar, almost dangerous. You wonder if you are allowed to want peace, if you are allowed to choose a life that does not constantly exhaust you. You are allowed. You have always been allowed. Choosing yourself does not mean you stop caring about others. It means you stop abandoning. yourself to keep them comfortable. It means you stop measuring your worth by how much you can endure. It means you stop believing that your value comes from how useful you are to others. You are not here to be a solution to everyone's problems. You are here to live, to grow, to breathe, to feel whole. There will be people who do not understand your boundaries. They will call you cold, distant, changed. They will say you are not the same anymore. And they are right. You are not the same. You are no longer willing to disappear for the sake of approval. You are no longer willing to accept less than you deserve. You are no longer willing to carry relationships that only survive because you keep sacrificing yourself. You may lose people when you choose yourself. Some will walk away because they were only comfortable when you were small. Some will become silent because your growth reminds them of their own refusal to change. This loss will hurt, but it will not break you. It will teach you that not everyone who leaves was meant to stay. Not everyone who goes was meant to walk with you into your future. When you choose yourself, you begin to feel a different kind of strength. Not the loud kind, not the kind that proves something, but the quiet kind that comes from knowing who you are. You begin to trust your instincts again. You begin to respect your own limits. You begin to understand that your peace is not something you have to earn. It is something you protect. You stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop chasing validation from those who cannot give it. You stop waiting for permission to live the life that feels true to you. You realize that choosing yourself is not a one-time decision, but a daily practice, a choice you make every time you listen to your heart instead of your fear. There is a calm that comes with self-respect, a calm that does not depend on who stays or who leaves, a calm that does not fade when someone disapproves. It is the calm of knowing that you are standing in your truth, even when it is uncomfortable, even when it is lonely, even when it requires courage. You do not need to apologize for growing. You do not need to feel guilty for protecting your peace. You do not need to carry the weight of other people's expectations at the cost of your own happiness. Choosing yourself is not betrayal. It is survival. It is healing. It is the beginning of a life where you finally feel at home in yourself. Walking away is not weakness, it is not running, it is not giving up, it is choosing to stop standing in places that slowly break you. It is deciding that your heart deserves safety, not constant tension. It is understanding that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is leave what hurts, even when you still care, even when you still remember the good, even when a part of you wishes things could be different. You don't walk away because you stop loving. You walk away because you start loving yourself enough to refuse what is harming you. There is a deep sadness in letting go of plea you once hoped would change. You grieve the version of them you believed in. You grieve the future you imagined. You grieve the time you invested. But grief does not mean you made the wrong choice. It means you cared. It means you tried. It means you stayed longer than you should have because your heart is loyal. Even when it is hurting, staying in a place that does not honor you slowly teaches you to doubt your worth. It teaches you to accept less than you deserve. It teaches you to believe that love must be proven through endurance. But real love does not ask you to suffer in silence. Real love does not make you question your value. Real love does not require you to lose yourself to keep it alive. There is fear in walking away, fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear of the unknown. But there is also freedom in it, freedom to breathe again, freedom to hear your own thoughts, freedom to wake up without a heavy feeling in your chest, freedom to create a life that feels general, to lay instead of exhausting. You may look back and wonder if you could have tried harder, if you could have said the right words, if you could have been more patient. But relationships are not meant to be carried by one person. Love is not meant to be one-sided. You are not meant to fight alone for something that refuses to meet you halfway. Walking away creates space, space for healing, space for peace, space for people who will see you, respect you, and choose you without making you beg. It creates room for a version of yourself that is no longer tired, no longer anxious, no longer questioning their worth. You will grow from this. You will become softer and stronger at the same time. You will learn that your heart is not weak because it feels deeply. It is powerful because it knows when to let go. You will understand that choosing peace is not selfish. It is necessary. It is how you protect the life that is waiting for you on the other side of what you leave behind. In the end, this is about choosing yourself over pain. It is about understanding that not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay, and that leaving what hurts is an act of strength, not failure. When you protect your peace, honor your worth, and walk away from what breaks you, you create space for healing, freedom, and the life you truly deserve.